The administration of US President Donald Trump is secretly consulting with the Russian authorities while developing a new plan to end the war in Ukraine. This was reported by Axios, citing US and Russian officials. According to sources, the new plan consists of 28 points, which can be divided into 4 categories: peace in Ukraine, security guarantees, security in Europe, and the future of US relations with Russia and Ukraine. One of the White House representatives told the publication,
"The president has made it clear that it is time to stop the killing and reach an agreement to end the war. Trump believes there is a chance to put an end to this senseless war if flexibility is shown."
The publication reports that the drafting of the document is being led by Trump's special representative Steve Witkoff, who discussed it in detail with the Russian ambassador Kirill Dmitriev. Dmitriev told the publication that he spent 3 days in Miami communicating with Witkoff and other members of Trump's team. According to him, the Russian opposition has supposedly been heard. Axios also writes that Witkoff discussed the plan with the Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council, Rustem Umerov. As is known, on November 19th, Volodymyr Zelensky will hold a meeting with the leader of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. According to the head of the Ukrainian state, the discussion will focus on achieving a just peace. Zelensky noted that he has good relations with the president of Turkey and also stated that there are signals from the United States which they will discuss. Earlier, Politico reported that high-ranking Pentagon officials arrived in Kyiv with the aim of resuming peace talks to end Russia's war against Ukraine and deepening cooperation in the field of military technology.
High-ranking Pentagon officials have arrived in Kyiv with the aim of resuming peace talks between Ukraine and Russia. According to Politico, the American delegation includes U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll and Chief of Staff General Randy George. Starting from November 19th, they have scheduled meetings with the Ukrainian military leadership, officials, and the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. At the same time, President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky has traveled to Turkey to meet with Turkish leader Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The leaders will discuss achieving a just peace. According to Zelensky, they will also discuss signals about peace talks coming from the United States of America. However, it is currently unknown who will participate in the upcoming negotiations on behalf of the aggressor country. As political strategist Taras Berezovets notes on his YouTube channel, the main representative of the Russian delegation, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, has in fact been removed from the negotiation process. The Kremlin's special envoy Kirill Dmitriev is also in a weak position.
Kirill Dmitriev also ended up in a bad spot as a result of his American trip, and it's unclear whether he still has the mandate to conduct negotiations with anyone. But meeting with Zelensky is not appropriate for his status. To put it mildly, he is not on the same level as him.
Berezovets believes that even Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff will not want to negotiate with him because previously he had spoken directly with the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin.
Clearly, this is not the level of person with whom Steve Witkoff would conduct negotiations. Of course, this would be flattering for Kirill Dmitriev, but let me repeat once again, Witkoff will not stoop to that level.
Meanwhile, in Europe, there is a determination to further increase pressure on Russia to end the war. Earlier, French President Emmanuel Macron stated that, in his opinion, peace can be achieved before the year 2027.
On the night of November 19th, explosions rocked Russia's Krasnodar region. According to Telegram channels, drones once again attacked the Ilsky oil refinery. This plant was previously attacked on September 7th. Amid the strikes, Russia's Federal Air Transport Agency reported the closure of the Gelendzhik and Krasnodar airports. As is known, the Ilsky oil refinery is among the leading oil processing companies in the Southern Federal District. In particular, it produces fuel oil and diesel fuel. In addition, according to the Telegram channel Astra, a missile alert was declared in several Russian regions. Later, the Russian Ministry of Defense reported that supposedly 65 drones were shot down overnight. Of these, 16 UAVs were over the Black Sea, 14 each over the territory of Voronezh region and Krasnodar Krai, and 11 drones were allegedly shot down over Belgorod region. And in the temporarily occupied Crimea, the Russian authorities are worried about the fate of the Crimean Bridge. According to the Telegram channel Crimean Wind, 2 anti-sabotage boats, Grachonok, and an artillery boat, Shmel, are guarding it from the Black Sea side. Apparently, the occupiers are strengthening the security of the illegal structure due to the regular successful strikes by the defense forces on military targets on the peninsula. In addition, footage has appeared online showing the successful operation of drones and missiles from the Ukrainian company Firepoint, which are even more capable of bringing the collapse of the Crimean bridge closer. The FP-1 drone can hit targets at a distance of up to 1,700 kilometers, while the FP-5 Flamingo missile can strike enemy targets at a distance of up to 3,000 kilometers.
Ukraine and Poland have agreed to create a group to prevent Russian sabotage. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held talks with Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk. They discussed the recent acts of sabotage on the Polish railway. The Ukrainian leader noted that Telegram was used to organize subversive activities and launch a disinformation campaign against Ukraine.
Our information matches. All the facts point to a Russian connection behind all of this. No one but the Russians is interested in this. Ukraine is ready to cooperate with Poland at various levels and share all information.
Zelensky stated that the Ukrainian company Ukrzaliznytsia has implemented proper measures to counter such acts of sabotage. The section of the Warsaw-Lublin railway where the sabotage took place is of strategic importance for assisting Ukraine. This may be one of the routes through which military aid from Western partners is delivered. The incident occurred on November 16th at approximately 7:39 local time near the village of Zhylichi in the Masovian voivodeship. The railway tracks on this section were damaged as a result of the explosion. At the scene, law enforcement officers found a camera as well as a second explosive device that did not detonate. The explosion on the tracks may have been triggered using mobile phones. In Poland, the sabotage on the railway was called an unprecedented act of sabotage, which bears all the hallmarks of a hybrid attack by Russian special services. At the scene, Prime Minister Donald Tusk made a statement.
There is no doubt that we are dealing with an act of sabotage. The explosion was most likely intended to derail a train that travels along a route also used for transporting weapons to Ukraine.
Later, law enforcement officers discovered a Russian connection in the case leading to Ukraine. And on November 18th, during a speech in the Sejm, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk accused Russia of sabotage.
We are certain, not just assuming, that both incidents were deliberate, had their perpetrators, and their goal was to cause a disaster on the railway. The identified individuals are 2 Ukrainian citizens. They had been cooperating with Russian intelligence services for a long time.
According to the Prime Minister, they entered Poland from Belarus and managed to leave after the sabotage. He stated that Poland would demand that Belarus detain and extradite the suspects. In turn, Jacek Dobrzyński, the spokesperson for the Polish Minister Coordinator of Special Services, stated that the sabotage or terrorist act on Poland's railway tracks was organized by intelligence services from the east. In response to the Russian sabotage, Warsaw announced that it is closing the Russian consulate in Gdansk, the last one in Poland. The Kremlin reacted nervously to this.
Relations with Poland have completely deteriorated, and this is probably a manifestation of that deterioration, with the Polish authorities seeking to reduce any possibility of consular or diplomatic relations to zero.
The Ukrainian Ministry of Foreign Affairs also responded to reports about Ukrainians being involved in the incident in Poland. They noted that the source of such sabotage is Russia, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Andriy Sybiha, expressed solidarity with friendly Poland in connection with the incident on the railway. Commenting on the explosion on the Warsaw-Lublin section, Sybiha suggested that this could be another hybrid attack by Russia aimed at testing the response. Crippling sanctions from the U.S. against giants Rosneft and Lukoil are reducing Russia's oil revenues, according to the U.S. Treasury Department. Ukrainian drones are systematically destroying the aggressor country's oil refineries, which will inevitably lead to the collapse of its oil refining industry. The sanctions imposed by the U.S. in October set a deadline of November 21st for companies to cease cooperation with Rosneft and Lukoil. Violators may be cut off from the dollar-based financial system. Meanwhile, the White House has announced its intention to present a new major peace agreement with Russia, which, according to officials, will put an end to the war in Ukraine. It could be reached as early as this week, according to Politico. A senior White House official stated that a framework document to end the war is expected to be agreed upon by all parties by the end of this month, and possibly as early as this week, the publication reports. According to Axios, the US and Russia are secretly working on a plan to end the war in Ukraine. The US plan consists of 28 points, and a high-ranking Russian official says he views it with optimism. As part of the White House's attempt to resume negotiations to end the war in Ukraine, Donald Trump sent a high-level Pentagon delegation to Kyiv for talks on November 19th. High-ranking American officials reported this to the Wall Street Journal. According to the publication's sources, Army Secretary Dan Driscoll, along with 2 other generals, was supposed to hold talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and other Ukrainian officials, as well as with representatives from military and industrial circles. In addition, Driscoll also intends to meet with Russian officials later. Another sign that talks of peace are near is Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to Turkey for a meeting with President Recep Erdogan. According to the Ukrainian leader, one of the key priorities of the trip is to bring the end of the war closer, as well as to resume exchanges and return Ukrainian prisoners of war. Zelensky says he is preparing to intensify negotiations to achieve peace. And according to him, Kyiv has solutions it wants to present to its partners. However, as the Western press reports, neither Ukraine nor America's European allies appear to have been involved in the development of the White House's new peace plan. It is also still unknown what solutions are being considered for the most pressing issues, such as Russia's seizure of Ukrainian territories or security guarantees for Ukraine. At the same time, the mood in the White House is optimistic, and it seems the plan will be presented to Zelensky as a fait accompli, the article says. As observers note, policymakers in the White House believe that, due to corruption scandals and the shifting frontline, Ukraine is in such a position that they can force it to accept this deal.